I found this in Ganaroom. Ganamir.
What is it?
Well, it's
In my gravity boots, I'm stuck walking the hull with a pounding in my skull. Ain't nobody knows which way the solar wind blows. Better than a man being blown.
Welcome to Synthaholics, guys. This is your host, David Duncan. With me is...
Oh, I'm the man of command, Aaron O'Brien. Give me a ship.
Any ship.
Any ship. Give me 12 stout men.
I'll put my saxophone on it for reasons.
I'm a good saxophone player.
Like Bill Clinton.
I am like Bill Clinton. What's going on, Dave? We are talking about a new episode of Voyager.
There's a new episode? Did it just come out?
Nah, it's not new. It's newer. We're talking about Nightingale.
It's season 7, episode 8.
Episode 8 aired November the 22nd, 2000. In the year 2000. It's great that we both went there.
Yes, it's like we didn't say something different there.
Yeah, no.
It worked.
Directed by LeVar Burton.
That's awesome.
Yeah. This episode was requested for us.
By Joe DePinto. He had emailed us a couple episodes ago that we read on the air.
Asked us to talk about it, and here we are talking about Voyager for you. There you go, Joe. This is your...
This is for you. This is a shout out to you, Joe DePinto.
This is for you. So this is an interesting episode. This is where we get a kind of a Kim-centric episode.
Kim Jong-un?
Yeah, not him.
Actually, he does kind of go crazy like Kim Jong-un in this episode.
No, not that crazy.
I'm the captain. I'm going to do everything for you. I'll press the buttons.
Not that crazy. I press buttons.
I'm going to go in the hole.
So the beginning of it is Voyager. This is kind of cool. At the beginning, the Voyager sat down to do a complete rehaul.
The engines. And it's about time.
It's pretty cool. I kind of like that they had this graphic of them on the planet that's landed. They're pulling the engines apart.
The warp coils out of the out of the engine. That's really cool. Except for, as we talked before in Voyager, those should be two separate different nacelles, two different alien ships they picked up along the way because Voyager.
Yeah, but I mean, still
be
cool.
A hodgepodge ship.
I would think it would be a little easier to do out in space, but because it's like weightless.
Don't have to wear suits.
I guess
that's what they got shuttles for. I guess to do the. I don't think shuttles were designed to do that. Oh, who knows?
I don't know shit about
that.
Maybe
they're multi-purpose shuttles.
So they're doing their fixing up on the Voyager. A well overdue maintenance on Voyager.
7 years. No major maintenance somehow.
And then at one point, Icheb impresses Belana Torres that his technical knowledge, and she's like, "Wow, we should use him more often."
That would have taken us days to figure out where that problem was.
Yeah, because they had a power failure, and he's like, "Well, let's use this dude." So she gets assigned. She assigns him some repairs to work alongside Belana. In the meantime, we have Kim, Neelix, and 7 of 9,
and Tom Paris.
Tom Paris isn't on it.
He wasn't on the.
Nope,
on the Delta?
He shows up once.
I thought he was attached to the Delta Flyer at the hip.
Nope.
Like he just loved that Delta Flyer so much.
No, they're on the Delta Flyer flying through someplace. Who knows?
They're flying through some sort of nebula, and they're looking for dilithium. They think there's dilithium in
right
here.
In some nebula, and they get some weapon fires around them, and there's a vessel approaching them from behind.
Although the exterior shot looks like they're in empty space, but
it does. And then what they've realized is that the ship they're firing on is cloaked, and it becomes uncloaked. And that's kind of where the teaser kind of ends when it becomes visible. We pick up back on the right after the teaser is that the Delta Flyer gets a distress signal from that ship that's under attack. The commander of the Kraylor starship, it decloaks it, because it's been hit so many times. Mm-hmm. And the Delta Flyer, Harry Kim's kind of reticent to actually do anything because it's like we shouldn't really involve ourselves. And then this Kraylor ship says we're holding medical supplies that desperately need to get back to our planet.
They play the we need help card,
right?
And Harry Kim's like, yes, I'll do it.
We need to help.
Is there a pretty girl on board? I just hope there's a pretty girl on board. No pretty girl this time.
Damn it. Well, so what they do is the ships that are attacking are the Anari. The Anari vessels, I think that's how they're pronounced.
I think so.
And the Anari, they use they hit a certain point of their ship with the Delta Flyer, and Kim blows out their weapon system.
Oh, you just there's like a feedback thing.
Yeah,
on their weapons,
and they kind of have to retreat because they don't have any weapons. And the Kraylor ship is like, "Wow, that was awesome, dude!
Dude, you're so good at whatever that was."
Half our crew is all kid. Our captain's dead. Everyone's dead. We got this crappy cadet that's aboard and doesn't know how to work anything.
Yeah, somehow it's crappier than you, Harry.
Could you help us?
And he just wants to be a commander so bad. He agrees to be the commander.
Well, he doesn't agree at that point.
Well, no, but he helps fix the ship, and they're like, "How long have you been captain?" And he's like, "Yeah, no, I'm the lowest, and I've been that way for 7 years. Good on you, Kim. Good on you."
Well,
and in this time, Tom Paris has been a prisoner, held as a prisoner on the ship, became lieutenant, got demoted to ensign, and then became lieutenant again.
Right.
And Harry Kim has done nothing.
Right. And so Harry Kim is having some kind of rank issues, and they get to this. They say they're a medical transport ship. They fix up the ship. They treat all the wounded. Obviously, there's a lot of people that have been dead from the attack.
Should beam them into space. Get the stink away.
Shoot them out there. And then, so after they make the repairs, they decide that they're going to go back to a Voyager to find out what's going on. If they can, if he can assist them, he basically has to get the.
Kim goes to Janeway on the ship and is like, "Oh, these people need all this medical help, and I just want to help them, and they need help because they don't know how to do anything on their own. They're stupid scientists."
And Janeway doesn't really think that maybe he can do that. Maybe thinks that somebody else should go instead.
Why don't we send Tom Paris with you?
Send
Chakotay. Oh, Chakotay, yes. Yeah. Oh,
Chakotay.
Sorry, Joe. There might be some hate in this episode.
Kim talks Janeway into that. Let him take command. He said, "I've been an ensign for 7 years.
I need something to do. You've got command on the night shift." It's like, yeah, it's not 1 or 2 hours. That's what data works.
And you guys are count. And you guys are right next, in the next room. If anything happens,
you and Chakotay are making out in the other room. All I have to do is raise my hand, and you guys will come out.
Right. So I mean. I got to give Kim a little bit of it does make a lot of sense.
It does suck being an ensign for 7 years.
7 years, you don't get any promotion. Janeway's kind of overlooked.
If you're not being a standout, you've done some pretty dumb stuff over the. You let a whole bunch of girls who are trying to have sex with you convince you that you're one of their alien species, and you fell for it. You fell for a girl with, I guess, a penis because you were like, I don't know how this is going to work, but it was really awesome, and and they weren't supposed to mingle with this race at all, and he threw a tantrum in front of Janeway for that. So you're not really winning, Kim, you're not really doing things that, endear yourself to the captain to make her want to promote you. You've done some pretty dumb things, usually involving women.
Does that make you not take command if you can't get to get a date?
Well, he got the dates. He slept with them. It's just that he's made some bad decisions. He decided, I'm gonna be part of this race, and he's like, I'm gonna ruin relations with this race we've been working with for a couple of months because we weren't supposed to mingle that way, and we've been mingling. Mm-hmm. So Jamie got really pissed in that episode.
In the meantime, there's this confusion on Icheb. He sort of feels that
Icheb.
kind of feels that Taurus might have some feelings towards him,
But he kind of likes it. And then he talks to the doctor about it.
It's like,
how do you know?
How do you know if a woman's attracted to you, if she's got, he says, well, you have elevated this, you look for certain things.
He scans her.
Yeah. So
it was hot in the Jeffries tube.
It was hot in that Jeffries too.
Rubbing up against her and her rubbing up against him, and their hands touched a couple times, and she put her hand on his shoulder, and he was totally into it.
Yeah, well, he's a young boy. Yeah. It just gotten out of the board collective.
It's like, I can do sexual reproduction instead of sticking my tubules in something. I can stick my other tubule into something. My main tubule into something.
Exactly. So he's a little thrown off. He doesn't know what to think about this. So after the Kraylor's ship is repaired, they decide they're going to take off to their home world. At the meantime, just before all this happened, Janeway had made a deal with the Antari that they're going to trade some of their items for certain items that they needed. So they had some ore that they could trade them.
Yeah, they need to finish building out their engines. They need some deuterium injectors.
Right. So
deuterium's a real thing, just FYI.
Is it?
Yeah.
You looked it up?
Yeah, deuterium's just like another form of oxygen, I think.
Oh, cool. I don't know. No, you're I'll take your word for it. So Harry, like you said, Harry didn't want to get involved, but now he is involved, and he kind of has Janeway's blessing. And they take off. They're cloaked, so they won't be seen. And
deuterium is a stable isotope of the hydrogen with max approximately twice the size of the usual isotope.
There you go. You were right.
Deuterium is a real thing.
It is a real thing. It's not like dilithium crystals. So anyway, so Paris asks them to take him with him. This is the only time we get Paris in this episode, really. Oh, we get him for a second with Icheb.
Yeah, with Icheb, which is great. I wish Voyager had a bigger budget so they could have done the race scene. That would have been fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because they talk about the he challenges Icheb to a race,
right?
And he thinks it's because it's challenging for the woman's affection. Apparently, the race he's from, like they have to do battle for women on there because he just challenged me to a ritual combat, and no, he just wanted to do something fun.
Right?
He's like, oh, you're gonna do the stupid rock climbing with my wife. Hey, this is gonna be way better if you could do something.
Well, it's funny too because Taurus asked him to come rock climbing with him. It's like, you work all the time. You should really relax. I enjoy doing rock climbing. You should come with me.
That's not very relaxing. That's a lot of hard work.
Actually, I enjoy rock climbing.
I love rock climbing, too. I did it a couple times as a kid. I went to this place called the Rock House.
Yeah, well, there's one up not far from here. There's a gym that you can go, and you can and you get their harnesses and go up. But it's a lot of fun. But, so, she has a holodeck program that she likes to go, and
it's a shit ton of work. I mean, you're going to be dead tired by the end of it.
Yes, you are.
If you've ever done rock climbing, it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I would too. But
especially with Lana Torres.
Or Icheb, if you're in for that.
I guess.
Icheb,
if Icheb strokes your folks or whatever, different strokes.
Just strokes to different folks.
Yeah.
Wow. So Icheb kind of gets like this, so he's thinking that, B'Elanna's making and he's like, well, she's married, so this wouldn't be right. I'm not quite sure. So he's torn. He doesn't know what to think, but he's definitely interested.
Too bad he's not, not Talaxian. What's Dr. Phlox?
He's Talaxian. Oh, no, he's not Talaxian. He's, why did you have to throw this out at me?
Dr. Phlox, because his race, Denobulan. They have three. They each get three husbands and three wives.
Yes.
So too bad he was not a Denobulan, and he'd be like, oh, that's totally normal. He wouldn't have been scared or anything.
Right.
Although the Denobulans weren't invented at this time.
Yeah, right. Neelix gives him in the mess hall just before Kim leaves. He gives Kim a little dress down and say, you have to be more assertive. You can't tell exactly what you want.
You can't be indecisive as a captain. And apparently he takes this the wrong way.
Yes.
And he just is overbearing as a horrible, horrible commander.
And so after he has his Palamic soup, hot
Palamic soup.
He goes on.
That just sounds gross. That's a Vulcan dish.
I don't know what it is. But Kim goes to
Spock didn't like it either because when Nurse Chapel made it for him, he threw it out the door.
He did. Get this shit out of here.
Poor Nurse Chapel. All she does is want to bone.
She just loves Spock so much. Kim goes down to the Kaylor vessel. He renames the vessel the Nightingale because it's supposed to be carrying medical supplies.
But it's not.
I love that he never even checked out the.
No, never scanned it, never did anything.
Is there any medical
Just
supplies?
took their
on this
words
thing?
for it. Although, one thing we forgot to mention, one of the chief doctor is played by Ron Glass. And if you're a fan of Firefly, Ron Glass's Shepherd Book.
Yeah.
And he unfortunately recently passed away earlier this year.
Yeah, he's not a huge part in the role, but I mean, he's obviously...
It's probably the biggest part he's had in Star
Trek.
Star Trek.
Right, yeah. No, but I mean, he's obviously has a part in it, and this is before Firefly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kim, he settles in. He's got his whole ready room all
He's got his
up.
captain's room. He's got like his saxophone.
He's got his degrees up on the wall.
And Seven comes in and she's like, we're not even going to be here for like a day. Why the hell did you do this?
Right. And he's like, you got to make your ship your own. It's got to be your thing, Ask
Captain Janeway about it. And she's like, I will totally do that as soon as I see her again. I love Seven in this. I mean, I love Seven in most episodes, but she's probably the most standout thing to me in this episode. Just like, I just love her reaction shots every single time. Like Kim does something, it's like sarcastic face Seven, rolling her eyes and saying, "Oh my gosh,
right.
Why don't I have a rank?" It'd be great.
These people are all idiots.
I just wanted to see her bitch slap Harry Kim across the face for his terrible decisions.
Was it after that? There's one of the cadet that survived the initial cadet that's still alive is making a course correction, and Kim goes out and micromanages him.
You're off by 0.5 microns. He's like, "Oh, I was going to fix that just now," and Kim's like, "Let me do it." And the kid idolized him earlier in the episode.
Now he's
like
frustrated.
Just pissed.
Right.
It's just he's just doing everything.
Yeah, and so Kim is getting to this point, and then they have a shot of Seven's face, and she's sort of like, "All right,"
rolling her eyes.
This guy doesn't have a clue.
She's like, "I'm glad I didn't sleep with him when I gave him that offer. I'm glad he said no."
What was I thinking? Back on Voyager, Icheb and Taurus are working the Jeffries.
I think she knew he was going to say no. That's why that's probably the only reason why she offered.
It's possible. She might be that tactical to figure that out. This is where Icheb scans Taurus in the Jeffries tubes, trying to get more information if she is actually flirting with him and has any kind of hormonal changes when he's around.
I love how he just pulls it up. And he's like, "Oh yeah, this is cool. I'm just gonna carry this around for all the girls I meet."
It would be kind of cool.
Sure way of knowing.
It would be kind of cool just to
Is her
have
heart rate increasing? It's
either that or she having a heart attack, and either way, I'm doing all right.
You know the lovers thing where the guys got the earpiece. And the guy's going on the date's not suave, he's a nerd or whatever. You got the suave guy and with the radio. But in the future, you could do that, but also have a tricorder with you, and then the readings are being sent back to the guy in the van.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Yeah, she's totally digging her heart's getting faster."
It's the whole Cyrano de Bergerac kind of thing where the guy who is the ugly guy with the long nose, and he gives the guy all the words to woo the girl, but he's the real guy who has all the passion inside of him, but he's too ugly for anybody.
Yeah, they should do that, but in the future with a tricorder, so they can do that. That's Icheb.
And Cyrano de Bergerac is a tricorder. I love you. And Blana Taurus falls in love.
Tricorder, remember from Star Trek?
Yeah, and Blana Taurus in the end falls in love with a tricorder. Better than Tom Paris.
Probably smarter than Tom Paris.
Probably is. Jesus. Anyway, so we back on the Nightingale. The generators fail on the cloaking device, and the Antari vessels move in for attack. And this is where one of the ladies, who's the volunteers to help put it back online, she goes down to cloaking device to try to get back online and get the warp core working as well. And because the life support's failing in engineering, but she dies, but she's gets everything working again, that they can get the cloaking device.
Seven gets knocked out.
Seven gets knocked out during the attack, but Kim realizes at this point that these guys know way too much about engineering to be doctors. They're not doctors.
He figures it out, and he's like, "We're gonna turn this ship around." And Shepherd Book's like, and then he takes into the ensign, and the ensign's like, no, I'm not going to listen to you anymore. So
Yeah.
they basically mutiny on him. Like he's been in command for an hour and he's already like screwed up and mutinying against him. That is terrible.
And that's because
Too bad North Korea doesn't do it with Kim Jong-un.
It would be nice. It would be nice if they did that. Yeah, Kim had micromanaged a lot of people, and not just that. I mean, obviously, the cloaking device has a different meaning. The cloaking device was actually the whole reason for the flight of the ship. It was a test flight for this to make sure it actually works because they're going to refit all their ships for this prototype that they had.
So the Trade Federation has basically been blockading their planet for years. It's Naboo, and
yeah,
and they're being choked. So they need cloaking ships so they can leave and come and go from the planet, so they don't die. They don't die off.
Exactly.
All those robots in the orbit just.
So he wants them to turn back. Obviously, he doesn't. But
because they're like.
And then Harry goes off to sulk because he's, been kind of usurped.
I love how like Seven comes to him. This is earlier, but Seven was like, "There's something hugely wrong with the component on the ship," and Kim's like, "What? What is it? Tell me, what is it? What's wrong?"
The captain.
The captain, and she totally dresses him down. Which
You
is
suck.
Fantastic. Like she has no rank, but she's just totally dressing this guy down.
Right.
It's awesome.
Meanwhile, back on Voyager, Icheb talks to Paris is when Paris challenges him to the race.
Well, he just wanted to do it for fun. It's like, oh, you're gonna get with
Don't do that boring rock climbing
with me.
So
they're both like vying for Icheb's time. They just want to be friends with Icheb, and Icheb's like, oh no, I'm being challenged for the sexual conquest of this woman.
Yeah, right.
Like,
yeah.
no. And then he goes to engineering, and he breaks up with B'Elanna.
And B'Elanna's just like, what are you talking about? I was just being nice to you. And then she's like, well, okay, whatever, man. That's what you think? Fine. Whatever. We're broken up. Okay,
He
fine.
jumps like it's wrong, and she's like, "Yep, you know what? I'll have to deal with it."
Yeah.
Which is, I think
She just placates him.
yeah. I think
whatever.
the Icheb plot line is like my favorite part of the episode.
Yeah, it's funny that he reads it so wrong. On the Nightingale, Kim goes to check on Seven, who was knocked out during that last attack, and he says he's no longer in command because of. And he tells him what the mission is that it's the cloaking device, it's a prototype to go back to the Kaylor.
He's like, I screwed up. What am I going to tell Janeway? She's going to be so mad at me. More reasons you're not going to get promoted, Harry. More reasons you're not going to get promoted ever.
Right, and
You should just go to Sequest.
Sequest. Oh my god.
Well, I mean, in the episode Home, Picard, like, they keep asking him to go join the undersea, like, thing.
Yeah.
Which is probably Sequest.
Yeah, that was Family, where you try to get him back to go back to that. Anyways, Seven kind of talks him back into saying, look, we're on the ship. We got to get back home one way or the other. They're not going to take you back home if you're going to treat them like a bunch of jerks. So you might as well play in, help them out, get back home, and then maybe we can get out of here.
We can, get this solved. They get ambushed on the way back home.
But they do get through.
They do get through, because Harry Kim uses basically the same kind of trick he used at the beginning of the episode, the Delta Flyer. He uses the feedback thing. He evacuates the scientists so they can remake the cloak if they somehow lose the ship, but they are able to get through the shield in the nick of time.
Right.
Meanwhile, the Asari, or whatever the race are,
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
they come and they want to kick Voyager off, like, get off our planet that we have never inhabited, but get off it. You're in our space.
We found out that you were working with the Kraylor, so get the hell out. So they got to leave. Unfortunately,
We don't have warp drive yet.
And then fine, we'll go out and impulse.
They just escort them out of
bad.
impulse.
So because Harry Kim helped out the Kraylor, Voyager can't finish their repairs on that planet. So, and they didn't. They're trained.
More strikes against Harry. Even more. Like everything Harry does just falls apart.
So
he worked on the astrometrics lab. They go through a year of hell.
Nice. Yeah.
He helps the Kaylor. They can't even get to fix their warp drive. He's going to get demoted somehow. He's going to be a crewman.
The Nightingale.
By the end of the series.
Yeah, he's a crewman. Yeah.
We have demoted. We're taking away your ensign rank. You're now a crewman.
So they leave the Antari space, and they're going to go circle back to get Kim and Seven. And just
turns out they're just cloaked right next to them.
They're right behind them, cloaked, and there's like, hey, we're ready to be picked up. And that's when he kind of debriefs with Janeway and tells them basically everything that happened, that he made a lapse in judgment. And
I was too overbearing as captain. I will never get anywhere in my life.
well,
And then he goes to Neelix. Mm-hmm. And Neelix is like, well, what do you want? There's this or this. And Harry comes like, I don't know. I'm not a captain. And then the episode just ends. It's like, ooh, it's really dissonant. Like, usually episodes end in like, oh, it's, everything's okay. Everything's, it's going to go on. But this episode ends very dissonant. Like, it's like it's waiting for like an uptick to make it like an okay ending. And then it just kind of ends on this
or even a teachable moment.
Yeah, it just ends on this like sort of sad, like down note. Sort of like a Sopranos ending, because most Sopranos, like the Sopranos, always ended very dissonant. I was just waiting for something to tick, and it never had that tick tock. It would just like stop, and a lot of the episodes they'd just be him eating in front of his wife, and just feel super uncomfortable. Like that's how this ending feels to me. It feels very Sopranos-y, where it's just super uncomfortable. At the end.
Okay, so obviously the ending, that's how you feel. What about the whole overall? How do you feel about seeing this episode again and taking it in and thinking about it?
I was hoping this would be a better episode. Harry Kim's probably one of my least favorite characters. So
come on, less than Chakotay?
They're neck and neck for pretty terrible characters in Voyager. So like, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Kim episodes usually.
So obviously Seven, the Doctor, your favorite,
and they had like 10 minutes of screen time between the two of them for the entire episode.
If you were to pick those two, like so, those two aren't going to be the main character. Who would be the next character you'd pick?
Oh, good gosh,
B'Elanna.
B'Elanna standalone episodes are okay sometimes. She's got a couple pretty good standalone episodes.
How about Janeway? All right.
What about you? What are your thoughts on this episode? Have you seen it recently, or is this your first time seeing it in a long time?
No, I've seen it, but it's been a long time since I've seen this. There was a time I was trying to get through Voyager, and I think then we started the podcast. And
yeah, me too.
And I got tied into just watching every other episode. TOS, Next Gen, all. So I broke my rhythm and I never got back to it.
Same here. So basically, just so everyone listening knows, like, the podcast is actually a lot of work.
Oh yeah, tough work. More work than you know.
This episode, this show's a lot of work. I used to watch Star Trek for fun, and before we started this podcast, I was like almost done rewatching Voyager and Deep Space Nine. I would watch an episode of Voyager, then I'd reward myself with an episode of Deep Space Nine, because it was like the only way I could get through Voyager. It's like I watch Voyager, and then I get to watch something good. I watch Deep Space Nine, so I just would go back and forth, and I got into season 7 on both,
right?
And I don't think I got this far. So like, it was like almost 2 years ago when before we started the podcast.
Around there, yeah.
So I haven't it's fun watching. It's always fun watching Star Trek. But now I mostly just watch episodes. Probably Aaron too. We just watch episodes so we can talk about them on the show.
Absolutely.
So like basically watching Star Trek is work.
Now it's more work because I'm not just watching enjoyment. I'm watching to see.
I'm thinking about
the nuances, anything about that I want to talk about the show, taking notes. Obviously, looking about the back history of it. So
looking at the memory alphas. So I mean, like. We love Star Trek, and it's a lot of work. So I mean, basically, like my rhythm got messed up too because I didn't get back to this episode. So it's been longer than 2 years since I'd seen this episode.
I didn't hate this episode at any stretch of the imagination. I think because Joe recommended it, I was kind of interested. I was like, okay, I don't remember this episode offhand, and then I looked it up. I was like, okay, yeah, I remember it. Slightly. I
remember the memory alpha when I was looking it up. It showed the Icheb breaking up B'Elanna. That part struck a chord with me, and then I didn't really remember the rest of it until I saw it. I was like, oh yeah, it's the one where he gets commands and he like totally ruins it, like he does.
I do find it interesting because Joe brought it up about being in charge, being command, leadership of any sort,
and how it's a burden.
Leadership is a burden. I've been in various roles in work where I've been the guy in charge. And when you got to be the person say, hey, you've been late for work, 3 days in a row. What's going on? You got to be that guy. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy. You know, there's got to be guys that push people to say, you know, we have to finish this at a certain deadline. And if it doesn't get done, you know, bad things are going to happen. I don't like that. You know, it's a hard place to be in. There's certain people that enjoy that. You know, they enjoy being that guy to be like, you know, putting the screws to people. Mm-hmm. It's never been me. I'm sort of like a live and let live kind of guy. Like, you know,
Yeah,
like,
me too.
you know, like just, hey, you know, whatever you want to do. I don't like to tell people what to do. I would hope most people would come to their own realization logically to know what they should do. Now, there are some people that are not aligned with your same, you know, line of thinking, and or even same the what's going on with your organization, whatever you're part of. So there's some people who don't perform because they don't want to be there. You know, they're there to collect
it's a paycheck
to get a paycheck.
But you know, one of the horrible questions they ask you when you're getting interviewed is like, well, why do you want to work here? It's like, you know, having a roof over my head and eating food's a huge, you know, it's just, you know, it's a huge motivation. But
it's a problem with
other than that, it's
a huge problem with employment because with our system of our economic system is that, yes, we have to provide for ourselves. So a lot of people do whatever they can. So if it's working at McDonald's, if it's working at a factory because that's what you can do at this time, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that you're just trying to pay your bills. I've been there. Holy shit, have I been there? And it's, you know, and sometimes you are just not passionate about it. You know, you're just like, well, it's something I have to do. I have to pay my bills. I have to, you know, put food on my table. Maybe you were not given that opportunity to do the most wonderful things of like your greatest dreams, or maybe you aren't quite at that level yet to reach your highest dreams. You know, who knows? You know, there's millions of factors, but...
And, you know, one of the great things about having a job and us being employed is that we can do what we're passionate about. This is what we are passionate about.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the cool thing is that we can do this. But my point being is there's a lot of people out there who are just going through life just trying to make, you know, do the bare minimum because they haven't found the keys to their ignition yet. You know, they know certain things they like or whatever, but they don't know how to engage that, or they don't have the self-confidence. They don't have the right mentorship or the teachers in their life to put them in the right direction. Mm-hmm. There's so many reasons. But that being said, being in a leadership position really sucks. And there's another side of it where you make a decision and that decision can totally backfire on you, like Kim. Kim, you know, had so much want to be captain.
He wanted to help someone. Want to mess it up.
Well, I don't know if it was initially to be captain. He wanted to go help somebody, and then when he saw the opportunity
to become captain, he wanted it so bad.
Well, that's another thing, and that's I would say that's Janeway's fault because she's overlooked Kim or she's not given him any accolades over the years. I'm not saying,
like I said, he screwed up a bunch.
He screwed up a bunch, but I think everybody has. I mean, Janeway screwed up a bunch too. I think over the years.
But no one can hold her
feet to the fire, right?
She's the captain. She can rewrite the man holodeck program to be whatever she wants it to be. And be a terrible woman.
So leadership's a very difficult thing, and you have to take the praise with the lumps. So when everything goes right, you know, you should be there saying like, hey, man, you did a great job. Wow, this is great. Everything turned out perfect. And when it totally falls apart, you have to take the fall for it. You'd be like, I did not perform, or this went wrong, and this is why it went wrong. I take full responsibility. I should have known this, or I should have foresaw that. And, you know, there's some things that are out of your control, but there's some things maybe you could have thought about, you know, and that does happen. You know, leadership is taking responsibility for yourself and your organization or whatever you're part of, you know. That's the hard thing, and, you know, maybe Kim wasn't ready for it. I don't know. Neelix gave him that bad advice of you have to be decisive. I don't know if leadership always is being decisive. I think you should have a preformed
idea, but you should also like listen to what's happening around you to influence your decision. And so, because I think Neelix pushing him, you've got to be decisive, pushed Kim to be like, I have to do everything. And so
but see, here's the thing: there's two things: is being decisive I think you should know what your standards, what your code of conduct is, what your morals are, whatever they may be, your ethics. You should have them pretty well cemented if you're going to get into any kind of leadership role. You should know what you're about and what you believe in. Mm-hmm. That being said, so if someone throws something at you, maybe you don't know the answer and say, I have to get back to you on that. I got to think about that, or I have to process this, or whatever. Maybe you don't know the answers right away. Secondly, what we saw with Kim is that he micromanaged people. Do not. If you are in a leadership role, there's a difference between showing people how your organization, how you deal with
Once
things.
you've gone through the training period, don't still hold things.
And if you see a mistake, obviously you want to say, look, I saw you did this. Maybe you want to correct that. We don't like this, or this needs to be and give them the A, B, and C of why we don't do it so they understand why. Don't just say we don't do it and they don't understand the reasons why.
Then do it for them so they still don't know what's going on.
Do not do things for people. Let them fly solo for a little bit. And if they can't fly it right, come back to course correct.
A couple of microns is not going to kill anybody.
But you do need to give people their own room to grow. And the more they grow, the more they'll feel better working in your whatever, your ship, your organization, your community. You cannot micromanage people. I've been with micromanagers and they suck.
Like most call center jobs that just micromanage the hell.
Anything. There's tons of jobs out there.
Yeah, I'm sure, but I mean,
I've tried
just from my experience.
Now, like I said, I've been in a couple management positions where I've given people like a little wide berth to let them do their thing, and I've watched them completely mess that up. And I'll be like, whoa, okay, let's back up a little bit. Okay, I thought you knew how to do this. Let's go back and let's talk about blah, blah, blah. And that's hard to do. And it's extremely hard to do because you're putting faith into somebody, and sometimes they don't know how to do it. So, it's knowing your people of your organization. There's certain levels. There's certain people you trust implicitly, and there's other people you just got to work through and let them see where they're at. And it's very difficult to know. And you just kind of have to feel them out. And you have to you have to give them a little room. Let's see what they do. And then if it doesn't work, then you have to kind of circle back and help them. So,
yeah, it's definitely a hard thing to do. And
it's not easy. And I don't really enjoy the leadership role. I don't like it. I don't like telling people what to do. I don't think I'm a moral authority on anything. I like to just you like to do that? Okay, have fun.
Laissez le bon temps rouler.
Yeah, exactly. Just go ahead, have fun. I can't. There's some people that just gets off on that. I don't like it. It's not me.
I'm not super big in command. I mean, like with the podcast and stuff like that, I like to think, But I mean, like in a regular job thing, I don't think I'd be very.
The thing was with podcasting is that this is you took upon this as your own baby. It's your own ship. You kind of built it out of the whatever scraps of metal and engine pieces you can find and put together, and you're making it fly. So, and I mean that's great, because this is your own thing. Now, if you had like a whole crew of people working underneath you, how would that be?
That would be crazy.
And how would you react? I mean,
I have no idea how to react to a whole crew of people. It's just, I like it when it's just like me and you, or me and a guest, or me, you and Guy. It's simple.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, let's do this. Or like, hey, what do you want to do? Mm-hmm. It makes it really simple. But if we had like a team of people, I have no idea how that would be, but it would be interesting. Like, I'm not in that position.
And what would you do when they do something really bad? Like when they screw something up, like you're like, oh man, this episode sounds terrible. What would you do when they put some kind of like, Facebook or Twitter message that's like really inappropriate out? How do you react to those things? So what do you do? Like, how do you fire them? Do you say, this is not what we are about? Those kind of things. Like, there's lots of things to think about that you don't really think about right now. But like, if this show became like wildly successful and you have like 3 people working for you, 4 people working for you, there's going to be somebody who's going to pull that trigger and it's going to be shooting the wrong direction, you know?
Yeah. Maybe it's all a different thing, but I don't know. I still have to come to it and see what happens if it ever happens.
If it ever comes to that point. Yeah, right. But that's
definitely interesting to think about. Because normally I don't like calling the shots, but if it's something like, like I'm in with, I like to think about it. And generally no, but if this became bigger, I'd definitely have to think about it.
Yeah, it'd be a different world. And, by that point, obviously, if you're hiring people, you're making enough money to be like, okay,
Yeah.
So, yeah, leadership is not an easy thing. And I
think the episode does a good job of portraying that.
What do you think about the A and B plot? The Icheb, B'Elanna, and Harry Kim, and, is there a correlation?
I think they're two clueless people trying to do
misreading.
Yeah, two clueless people trying to do different things.
Getting in over their head.
Yeah, a little bit. But Icheb would have been fine if he just didn't overthink it. It's just, and I guess Harry Kim too. Harry Kim was overthinking it instead of being this mercy mission that he was assisting on. He made himself oh, I'm going to be the captain. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it's going to be awesome because I'm going to be in command. And it's going to be my ship and I'm going to name it. And he just had all this stuff. And Icheb was it's almost the same thing where Icheb's he's making more out of it than it needed to be.
Right. Good point. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
So they're different subjects, but they're both making it way bigger than it ever needed to be.
So they're young novices and they're taking too much importance in themselves or in the world around them, what they're painting it out to be. So,
because Icheb could have had a great working relationship with B'Elanna, and they could have had fun recreation time together, and he could have also hung out with Tom and done stuff with Tom, just be really good friends with a couple. I mean, that's kind of cool. I mean, you're on a tiny ship with a limited amount of people. Be friends with people. Don't just sit in the in your regeneration cubicle.
You loser.
I mean, by yourself. It's just so weird. I mean,
with 7 and 9 right next to you.
Well, I mean, you don't want to be far from 7. I mean, she's gorgeous, but I mean, but she's also not tons of fun as far as recreation goes either.
No.
I mean, she can play Kata Scott with Naomi, but that's the only thing I've seen her do that's fun.
Relative.
Other than, her lessons with the doctor, which she doesn't even enjoy. So
Right. Yeah. Well,
do you have any ideas about the A and B plot?
I think you're pretty right on. I was searching for it myself. Maybe it's the innocence of and trying to grow into that next thing. Maybe think about when you're a teenager and you want so much to be that adult, and you're you're looking for that freedom and that self-reliance, but you're just not there.
I mean, usually A and B plots in Star Trek rely on each other. Occasionally they don't, and they're just what's going on? But I think this one, it's almost the what's going on, but there's enough you can kind of
I
make a leap.
I like the connection you made there. I don't think I came to my own on my own, because when I watched it, I was like, what is the A and B? Usually they have some kind of relation.
Usually they do have some, and this one's probably a jump, but I mean, I think it still works. It's just basically they're both making something bigger than it needs to be.
Misread the initial connection between the two people, and then overinflated what it should have been. And that is purely an inexperienced thing to do.
Yeah.
When you're first, you meet a girl when you're 12, 13 years old, and you kind of got a crush on her, your puberty's just hitting, and then she's taking some kind of friendly interest in you. You're just man, she wants to be my girlfriend. And you're no, she doesn't. Yeah. She's just being nice.
Just being nice. That's all it is.
When your waitress is just being nice to you, she's looking for a tip. She doesn't want to date you.
Yeah,
so
probably.
99%, yes. Yeah. That's exactly what's happening. When you're talking to your bartender and she's being really flirty with you, she's looking for a tip. That's all it is. Just learn to live with it. This is the world we live in. So, if you're an Icheb, if you're a Harry Kim, you're just whoa, she's into me. Yeah, probably not.
Maybe not.
But they want to be my captain. No, they just want you to get you home to their home planet so they can reproduce their cloaking devices. So,
Spawning poking devices. Mate to my children.
Mate, they make babies. So, Joe, thank you for giving this as a subject. I'm glad that we got a chance to talk about this. This is not. I don't think I would have picked this on my own. I do enjoy going back and watching these episodes, and something I wouldn't be my pick. But I do like watching it and thinking, like changing gears and thinking a different way.
Yeah, I mean, like, I love getting suggestions for episodes because it's, things we may not have thought about or episodes we haven't personally seen in a long time. Because like we said earlier, we don't have time to watch Star Trek recreationally
sadly.
Like we used to.
Sadly.
Like Star Trek is now sort of our job. I mean, we don't really get paid for it. We have our Patreon, but I mean, that's just basically keeping the lights on here. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of stuff happening with the Patreon.
Right. Give to the
right
Patreon.
now.
$1 a month. What is that?
It helps keeps the light on because we have to pay for a website to keep it up. We have to pay for file hosting. Ideally, if our Patreon got big, it would help us get to cons so we could go to cons and meet you guys face to face, which is something we'd love to do. Maybe do panels and stuff at the cons we go to. It would be a lot of fun. I mean, I want to do something at the Nickel City Con here in Buffalo. So if anyone's local to Buffalo or planning to come to Buffalo for Nickel City Con, we're both going to be there. We're probably not going to have it. I'm not going to be at a table, but I mean,
I think I'll be at a table. Yeah,
you doing your Visions table?
I will be doing my own comic table. Yeah.
But I'll probably be bouncing around Aaron's table, the Geekiverse table, and the Artful Gremlins table, because it's just me and Aaron for this podcast. So if he's at his own table, it'd just be me at a table by myself. So this way I can bounce around, and that way I can interview people with my recorder.
Yeah, you had the experience when we had the table before that it was hard to be anchored to one place.
Yeah, and the Geekiverse and Artful Gremlins have a lot more people working with them, so they can relieve each other at the table and get to walk around the con. So
right.
I'll be probably bouncing between the three tables, just hanging out with Aaron, hanging out with the Artful Gremlins, hanging out with the Geekiverse, and doing stuff with them the entire time, and then all going around interviewing people as I see. So come out to the con. If you're local to Buffalo or if you're planning on making the trip in, I mean, not just for us. I mean, William Shatner is going to be here Saturday only, and Nichelle Nichols is going to be here.
Yep.
If you're a fan of Star Wars, Billy D. Williams is going to be here.
Right.
Those are some of the bigger headliners for the Nickel City Con. So
take it right up.
If you're local to Buffalo or local-ish, come down and you can see us because I'll be there all 3 days. I've already taken.
We'll give you more details too when we get there and get closer to the date. That's in May. Very cool. Well, man. Great episode. I love talking about it. Thanks, everybody, for really getting in and just sitting down with us and talking about this episode.
Yeah,
we enjoy it.
Thanks for suggesting it. And if you got more suggestions for us to go to, we love to take them because I mean, usually we're going back and forth with each other. Like, hey, what do you want to talk about this? I don't know. What do you want to talk about this? It's just there's so many choices, and having someone be like, oh, do this. Or if you guys want to email us at synthaholics@yahoo.com, you can email us more voice clips. Like if you heard our 100th episode, we played voice clips. We would love to do another episode of just voice clips, or of email and voice clips, or just a lot of emails. So you can email anything to us that you want. That's your thoughts or words that you want us to play and react to.
Yeah.
For any of our previous episodes, for topics, for just random Star Trek thoughts. We just love to talk about it.
Yeah, if you disagree with us, if you had some other thoughts, if you wanted to talk about, suggest an episode or anything else that you a topic, we'd love to talk about that. We'd love to hear what you had to say. Yeah, it's I always enjoy emails.
It's always fun reading them because I get them and then I read them and Aaron gets to react to them, which is a lot of fun. Just because I usually don't share them first. I usually oh look, we got an email. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
and then we read them and then we forget half the time. It's like, oh yeah, and then we cut back and read the email.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you so much, Joe, for emailing us. It's been a lot of fun emailing, get back and forth, and he's now in the Facebook group. So
yeah,
everyone say hey to Joe.
Hello.
In the Facebook group. So, all our music is provided by Warp 11. You can find them at warp11.com or Warp11 on Twitter. Personally, I am David_J_Duncan. The show
is Synthaholics Duo.
At Synthaholic Duo. Did I say that first?
Nope, you didn't.
No, I didn't. Show's a Synthaholic Duo.
We've been drinking.
A lot. We did 2 episodes tonight. I've been drinking a lot of Warp Core Breach. James D. Kirk and Borg Sphere.
I'm at Blackbird 2004. You can tweet me if you want to disagree with me. Just say hi, whatever. again, you can...
Hashtag Aaron's wrong.
Don't start that hashtag. You can, like we said, you can email us at Synthaholics at yahoo.com. Definitely let us know what you think, any subjects, anything you want us to talk about. Just reactions would be great. And then if you have time, please, please, please go to iTunes, rate and view us, give us 5 stars, 5 beautiful, shiny stars.
And write a sentence or two, please.
Hey, 2 sentences. Like, hey, I like this show. It's fun to listen to.
And say why. And just a little something. Because, I mean, like we said a couple episodes ago, Joe DePinto found us through Podcast Addict. Somehow we were 4 or 5 in that list. And he found us by some miracle of not having an iPhone. Because I have an iPhone and I checked. And we are not nowhere near the top for listing, and we need more reviews and more stars so we get moved up so people can see us, because iTunes listing is totally dependent upon reviews and stars.
Absolutely. And if you have a chance to, if you have a little extra cash, if you want to throw us $1, $2, whatever, what you have, go to our Patreon. It helps us keep the lights on, like Dave said, and keep us going just enough just to keep the show keep on trucking without having any issues of finances. Every little bit counts, so that'd be great.
And eventually, one day we like to upgrade our gear, so that would help too immensely for getting bigger and better things. And we do want to get a camera. It'd be kind of cool to live stream some stuff eventually. So.
And jetpacks. I'd really like a jetpack. Yeah. So that's long term goals.
Fly around like Icheb, yeah. Fly around the cons. We've got a jetpack.
Yeah, burning
you
people.
Don't. Yeah,
burning our asses with the fire. And also, if you know somebody who likes Star Trek, who likes sci-fi, who likes a little goofy, offbeat comedy, definitely let them know about the show. I'm always looking for suggestions for different podcasts, something a little different.
And some people don't even know about podcasts. Like tell a friend about podcasts.
It's a strange thing. There's a lot of people who are not into podcasting or not. They don't listen, download. I think,
or just don't even know what they are.
I think podcasting has surpassed radio. It makes so much more vibrant. You can find the subjects,
any topic you want. The way it's presented. I mean, we present Star Trek in an irreverent, funny manner. Some people present it in a straight face, normal manner.
I look at the chop charts, and there's some charts that are very too radio-ish, very polished sounding, and I do not enjoy it. It's not what I like. I don't like that sound. I don't want to feel like I'm listening to a radio show. I want to listen to in-depth conversations. I think long-form conversations is where podcast is. You can drill down to subjects that you normally would not get to. You can get to deep emotions, deep thoughts that you can't get to. So that's what podcasts are great for. Let people know about podcasts. Let people know about Synthaholics. Talk to them about it. It'd be great. More people have to know. And I think there's a huge swath of the population that just don't get it. And once they get it, they'll really understand.
Help your friends get it. I mean, even if you don't think they like Star Trek podcasts,
maybe
show them another podcast.
Different podcasts.
Hardcore history.
Oh, great! Awesome.
If they're a history buff, I mean, they even have ones on cooking. If they're into cooking, I mean, you can literally find anything, any kind of subject you want. There's even podcasts on fonts. I mean, if someone is super into fonts, I mean,
those graphic designers out there.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I mean, we'd love for you to recommend us to your friends who've never heard of podcasts, but just spread the word of podcasts in general, because I mean it's not new by any means, but I mean it's still new enough where that people just don't know.
Yeah,
and they should know, because I mean it's free form media and it's free, and they can just get it and listen to it whenever they want. It's so liberating.
Absolutely, yeah. So definitely let people know. Tell your grandma, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your sister.
Aunts and uncles,
siblings, your brother, your sister, and anybody else. So yeah, thanks so much for listening. It's been just wonderful every time we get the chance to talk to people about Star Trek.
Check out our friends, the Nerdy Nomicon. Aaron was recently on their show.
Yeah, talking about comic books. One of my other passions in life.
So go check that out, and check out our friends, the Geekiverse. I've been on a couple of their videos. They did a video for nerdy charades that I was on, and some Star Trek related videos I've been on. So check them out, because we're been friends with them since the Buffalo Comic Con, and we're doing a lot of stuff with them lately. So you'll see our faces instead of just hearing our voices.
Yep, absolutely.
Also, Guy Davis, friend of the show, who's he hasn't been with us in a while, but he's always with us in spirit. You can check him out.
He's in my basement.
Oh, you still got a tape to the Casino Royale chair?
That's right. No, that's Pete. That's Pete. Her.
They're not sitting next to each other.
Maybe I won't say.
But hopefully Pete Her will hear this and have more nightmares.
Absolutely. Yeah, but Guy Davis, you can check him out. You also Tamberlin, which is a flame. Obviously, if you have a little extra money, he's got a Patreon for
his
himself.
artwork.
GS Davis at patreon.com. So, yeah, check that out because he's a working artist and he does wonderful work.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you all so very much for listening. Live long and prosper, all my friends. Thank you so much for listening. Take care.
Bye.
See ya in the sink and we'll cry till we laugh. And we'll both shit our pants. You're the best drinking friend I ever had.
Woo, we did that one quick. 56 minutes. Yeah, it's kind of like about the same length as Regeneration.
My hardware.
Hardware.
We're from Boston. Boston.
Pack the cat, the hardware.
The hardware store. I saw